Order accepted.
We're going to be spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map on top of the orange Protoss player. He's a bro, you might say. He's Desrow.
And in the bottom left-hand corner of our screen, we have someone who never plays it safe. It's XP's Risky.
The hell is this map? Oh,
seriously, God. Right, man? What is this map? It's not your normal everyday map. It's got a backdoor expansion over here. That's cool. I've never seen this map.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What the hell did Desrow send me? What the hell? 4 players spawn. Okay, well this is interesting.
This is one of our community maps. This is one of the ones that we featured in the arcade. Yes.
Oh yeah, God's Garden. Oh, I have seen this map before.
Oh wait. Or is this just a port of like a Brood War map? I feel like God's Garden is a Brood War map. Oh man, I'm about to show my ignorance right now.
I don't think it was a Brood War map. I don't think. It's been a while.
Risky is showing that we can indeed expand on this map. It's not literally impossible.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh,
it's really important.
Literally possible.
The map.
Literally possible.
All right, Desrow's going for really fast, 2 gas, and he's loading them up. He's going through the Cybernetics core at 2 minutes, you know, standard. On 17 supply, 20 supply. I looked at the wrong supply. I was like, oh wow, that's really close to usual.
And also, other thing that's worth noting is the fact that in this kind of like a new economic situation, we can see a lot of Zerg players in ZVP going for the 3 hatch before pool. Because honestly, it was already going to be difficult for a Protoss player that doesn't go for a Forge first to put on any kind of pressure and punish a 3 hatch before pool, even in like Heart of the Swarm right now. It's actually pretty difficult. But now, since you start off with 12 workers and everything, and a lot of Protoss players are just going for gateway expansions, we've been seeing a lot of Zerg players just go 3 hatch before pool. There's zero reason to almost always do it. There's 0 reason to almost never always do it. Okay.
Excellent. And now that we've got that all wrapped up, the other interesting thing that Jeremy and I were talking about earlier, because you have 12 workers so fast and you have to make your decisions so fast, all of a sudden you can't get information from the overlords soon enough to know whether it's safe to do something like a 2 hatch before pool. You know?
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, it's a little bit on the weird side, and I wonder, it made me sort of think like, why are overlords as slow as they are? And where does that come from? And would it be possible to do something like have an Overlord speed buff in Legacy of the Void?
Oh, that is a really weird thought. Oh, man. I'm trying to think about the implications of that. Like, I'm thinking about, okay, well, there's a lot of the cool Marine, like, picking off Overlords in the center of the map. I'm also thinking about, like, around the time that a Zerg is actually trying to send their Overlords into the Protoss main base or a Terran main base, that you do want to be able to eventually kill off those Overlords and not just have them get out, but... Okay, well, it looks like Desrow just realized there is, in fact, a back door. But the back door
as all realizations ought to go, he declares it, of course, in all caps. When you realize something, you must indeed do that.
I thought this was a tactical thing, because he was like, well, I could just build a forge over down here on the low ground, and then I can expand to my 3rd very easily, but apparently it's a mistake.
Yeah, you know, going for the +1, getting a robo facility up.
Yeah, overall just playing it pretty standard, but I'm really curious though, because we end up seeing the robotics facility coming out, but he doesn't have to go up to Colossus. He can get up a robotics bay and go up to the Disruptors, and maybe go with a more gateway heavy army then, with Disruptors kind of as a supporting unit. I would love to see something like that.
Yeah, and I don't really know what so he moved up to the robo facility really fast, which is one of the things that you can do with the 12 worker start is you can tech really, really fast, and it's not to your detriment at all. And he's going right into the robo bay, so he's going directly for, hopefully for some disruptors, because that would be really cool, but maybe just some Colossus, and we'll have to see how that ends up working out.
Yeah, this honestly looks like with a 3rd expansion a little bit earlier on, this looks actually like a pretty normal Protoss build, where you go for the 1-gate robo, and then you sometimes see the Protoss players who want to go for really fast Colossus. It's like an old school, like 2-base all-in-ish build, where you go up to the robotics bay really quickly. But since you know, later game and everything, you can go for the 3rd expansion also, and it becomes less all-in-ish. It's kind of cool. We'll have to see how it works out, but a lot of roaches being produced right now by Risky.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I like some more seasoned players, especially after watching a lot of bronze, gold, games and things like that, a lot of more seasoned players will approach this in a sort of, okay, I'm gonna play the game just like I always do it, and I'm gonna make some tiny little tweaks in here and there. Whereas a lot of the newer players are just like learning the game from the ground up and being like, all right,
I'm gonna make only Ravagers,
crazy things, and just not using that regular template that people are used to. Got the War Prism out. And he is going for the Disruptor, so this is going to be some fun Disruptor shenanigans, hopefully.
Ooh, well, he's actually loading up a Zealot rather than a Disruptor in there, but it
one
looks like
Zealot.
Yeah, one Zealot, but he can also warp in. And actually, that's actually a cool kind of thing, is that with the Warp Prism, you can always pick up those units from six range. So one thing that's kind of interesting about that is that you could actually maybe warp in more riskier units than just Zealots for this harassment, because it's going to be a lot easier to get those units out of there.
He's coming, he's not paying attention, he's going to lose his mother. Or maybe...
Disruptor pops out! Disruptor pops out! Doesn't one-shot Roaches, though.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not. Roach Ravager, really strong. Oh my god. Desrow had sent me a message the other day about how Ravagers are ridiculously strong with the 40+40.
You now know what happened.
Now I know what game it's coming from. Now I know
10 minutes before he sent you that.
From. You were just like, oh my god! The Ravager! It can't be 40+40 damage. And you're right, indeed it is not 40+40 damage. It does not do that much damage to buildings.
I just imagine the exact, I imagine in SpongeBob terms, where it shows Desrow complaining to you on Skype about that, and then you have a narrator voice saying 3 minutes earlier. It just shows this game. Oh man, well he's already lost his robotics facility, and he's actually going to sacrifice this Disruptor to try and get some damage done on these Roaches. He softens up a lot of them, but I mean, is that going to be enough? Oh, Void Ray's now coming in though.
Alright, does he have the pro dodges? He's going to be paying attention to his Void Rays. If he doesn't pay attention to them, he is in big trouble. He's going to have to... Nope, that's not exactly where he needs to be, so he's good. Void Rays are still pushing out. He totally gets directly in between both those Void Rays with that hit, and he's just going to be sort of deflecting it with these 2 Void Rays. That's it. Yeah. Giant attack, big scary thing, 2 Void Rays. Done!
Exactly. Oh my god, actually, look at this. This is actually something really beautiful that goes back to the whole, one thing that we'll see in Legacy of the Void is that you can tech up a lot faster. Desrow, a Protoss player, 10 minutes into the game, with the game being a little bit sped up, starting with 12 workers, has a gateway, and is actually okay, and can defend a 3rd expansion, and is thinking about getting a 4th expansion. This is something that we almost never see from a Protoss player, right? Having one gateway for this long, transitioning out safely against attacks from a lot of Roaches, this is so cool.
I've got to take issue with the word and definition safety here, because I don't think that this is being taken safely at all. I think this is incredibly risky, and it's about to get punished super hardcore.
4th expansion,
you got 2 units over here. It's whatever. Yeah, 3rd base obviously it's in the back, but this 4th base, if Risky wants to go kill it, he pretty much can. There are only 2 Void Rays over there.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I will agree with you. The 4th expansion is very risky right now, but I mean, I still really like the fact that Desrow can just tech up so quickly on 1 gateway and take a 3rd by 6 minutes, and that actually feels safe. Maybe that is still dependent on the map, but oh god. This Tempest harassment.
Tempest harassed. I love it. I love it. It makes me so happy to be able to say the phrase Tempest harass. It's so nice.
I feel like a lot of Zerg
I think
players...
he's just having fun right now. I feel like he's not even I'm not going to do damage. I'm actually just kind of scouting mostly with these Tempests. Move them around a little bit, start building them up.
I feel like a lot of Zerg players right now are going to be in this kind of mentality of, oh, well, the Ravager can deal with air units, so I don't have to get Hydrals very quickly or anything. And I think that we're going to start to see a lot more Zerg players steer away from that mentality, just because I'm starting to realize how difficult it is to land those Ravager shots out on a lot of the Protoss air units, or even Terran air units, dealing with medevacs and everything. It's actually really, really difficult, so I think we're going to see a lot more Zerg players over time as they experiment with this mod probably go more toward Hydralisk. That's just my gut intuition, though.
Yeah, or we see more fungal with the Ravagers. I feel like it's a really natural thing to move into strong Ravager starts. I think Ravager starts are kind of strong right now, and then moving into the Infestors to support them or something like that. In a similar way of where you have your Roach Hydra moving into Vipers and Corruptors just sort of makes sense in the game and how it ends up working out.
Yeah, definitely. Really interesting is the idea now that I think Tempest had enough movements. What's the movement speed of a Tempest now?
2.75.
And what's the movement speed of a Hydralisk?
With this 2.25, but then with the speed, I think it's he didn't even get speed, so he's screwed.
Yeah, I think
it might be 2.75
kite
or
him.
3 with speed. Yeah. Yeah, kiting things with Tempest is a thing. And the other thing you don't see a lot with Tempest is the glide that we're seeing right now. So after you attack with air units, they sort of do this gliding stop thing.
Yeah.
And before, you don't really notice it with the Tempest because they're Tempests and they're so slow you don't notice it. But now, you actually have to, if you want to attack something in max range, you have to be a little bit careful not to glide too far forward.
Yeah, that actually reminds me a little bit of kind of like how Broodlords were, where if you want to go and do like quote-unquote stutter step with Broodlords, you can actually do a little bit of like continued motion. You never actually like really stop moving with the Broodlords, and you can still do attacks, just because of that sort of momentum. It takes a while for them to actually slow down.
Yeah, absolutely. And the trick with the whole stutter step Broodlord thing is once you realize that you can attack, and as soon as you press the attack button, you can turn around and walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's phenomenal.
Well, we end up seeing Risky losing a lot of these expansions, but he does have Desrow's potential 7th or 8th expansion taken up. Desrow has scouted that out with these 2 Tempests being rallied across the map, but he's doing a nice job of shutting down hatchery after hatchery, and Risky has got to come up with some kind of answer to this air army that Desrow's starting to build up with the Tempests.
Approach Hydra Ravager. I don't know how it's going to work out. He's splitting the Ravagers off to go and attack. He's going to have the Hydras deal with this. He still has not gotten Hydra speed. Oh, there it is. No, 2.81. So he is faster than the Tempest now with the Hydra speed, even off creep. So that's going to be nice. But the Ravagers coming in. You know, I think Polt is going to switch races to Zerg, and he's just going to snipe Nexuses with Ravagers, man.
Oh my god. That's
even better than Marauders. It's even more bursty than Marauders.
Indeed. Well, single Disruptor out for Desrow. Looks like he's going to try and get out another one. Oh my god, they can actually one-shot the Hydros, I think. Oh!
Oh my god.
That was worth it.
We couldn't click on it, but that's a lot of dead Hydralisks. Oh my god. Ow.
So Jack, did Desrow also complain about the Disruptor?
No, actually, he seems to think the Disruptor is doing quite fine.
Oh! Oh! Tempest taking a lot of damage over there, and I do want to note, you know, I think that you were saying that this is actually something that's been patched out. They did extra damage to armor, the Ravagers.
Yeah, that's right. So the Ravagers in this is patch 1.1. The Ravagers in patch 1 and 1.0. Oh, it doesn't have a hotkey. Interesting. Which we patched. That has been patched. That's patched in 1.2. We fixed it. In 1.1 did 40 damage plus 40 to armor, so 80 total to armor. And then 40 to light, so 40 to light, 80 to armor. But actually, I don't know why that happened. It was just sort of miscommunication. Yeah. That was never the intention. It's always been 60 flat damage, so right in the middle. So the difference from this game to the other game is going to, into future games that you might play in this mod is going to be that the light units are going to take even more damage from the Ravager. And being a Puros, you just don't have a whole lot of light units at all, really.
Yeah, it's Zealots and Sentries, I think, and Phoenix.
And Disruptors now.
Oh yeah, Disruptors. Oh, I actually I didn't even know what armor classification they were. That's so interesting.
Now, knowing is at least 2/3 of the battle.
2/3 of the battle.
Are buildings armored, Jack?
What? Roaches?
Buildings.
Buildings are armored, yes. All buildings are armored.
Oh, Desrow, he's going for the Disrupt. Okay, realizing not great.
Oh, also the Disruptors in this version splash damage against themselves.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, huh, do they lose? I was thinking, like, what if the Disruptors ever became, like, quote-unquote imbalanced, like, way down the line? I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if they, like, lost their shields when they did Disruption or something?
Oh, yeah, like it was like, the shield is what they were exploding out. Like they were taking the psionic shield and just
something like
spreading
that.
it out.
Oh my god, dude, you just took it another step. I was thinking, like, balance-wise, that would be a cool way to try and balance it out. And you were like, lore-wise.
Lore-wise, it fits quite nicely, actually. The Kala and the Terrazine combined to form a combustible substance, which would create such an explosion indeed.
Yeah, and I really quickly want to just address something that was said in the chat. Circuit Breaker X2000 saying that Desrow needs more War Prisms. here's the thing. Desrow this entire game has basically been operating off of 4 warp gates. Originally was only 1 warp gate, and I guess he has 1 extra gateway, but he's just now warping in a lot of units, which is one, kind of cool because he's playing around with all the new units because of that. But 2, it's just cool to see like a Protoss player that isn't super dependent on the gateway units as much.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. I feel like with Terran, the idea is to open it up into mech play where you don't have to use the barracks as much, and then maybe you know Protoss, you open it up to Sky Toss play where you don't have to use the gateways as much. You don't have to use the warp gates quite as much. You can just be really strong on the Robo and the Stargate, or one or the other.
Yeah.
I think it's even the same for Zerg, moving away from the Zerg lane, Bane lane.
Yeah, roaches and
Ultralists with an additional armor too.
Yeah, I think they're trying to push that the game has
more units,
tiers and units that are better than others.
Yeah, one kind of interesting thing is we do actually have the Corruptors now coming out. The Corruptors do have that caustic spray. All right, caustic spray, which it's kind of like a void ray attack, but it takes a lot longer to charge up, right?
Yeah, it takes 6 seconds to charge up. Initially, does 6 damage per
Old
second.
School void rays.
And then old school, and then it jumps up to 25 damage a second, which is pretty substantial. So it's really like an on-off. It's almost like an on-off switch. Like, it does basically negligible damage, and then it's like, oh my god, everything dies. So really good against like big targets like Nexuses and stuff like that. Again, a reason why Pult should be switching to Zerg.
Yeah, that's true. And
you can kill more Nexuses this way.
I apologize to Circuit Breaker. Circuit Breaker actually bringing up a good point. The Warp Prisms loading in the Disruptors and just doing economic damage is something that we have not seen just yet. And I mean, Desrow
it's awesome. By the way,
he has 5 Disruptors.
I've seen it. It's sick.
Oh man, I've seen it like once. I've seen it a couple times. Saw it in the DraKaTaK broadcast, and it was absurdly awesome. It was amazing. And Viper Pulse. Actually, I'm now thinking about how Disruptors actually complement an air army relatively well, because if you are up against an army that isn't entirely air army based, like imagine if this was a PvT.
Okay.
And you have a Terran player that sees a lot of carriers and a lot of, Tempest or whatever being made and Void Rays. Sure, you might make some Vikings, but what's the other unit you're going to make?
Marines,
Marines, right? Exactly. That's what everyone will intuitively say. Like, why would, carriers are just going to die very quickly to Marines. But the Disruptors will actually do a massive amount of damage to those ground units without actually doing any kind of damage, splash damage to your own air units. So that's kind of like an interesting way.
Oh, wow. Huh.
It's like complementing in that sense. Because now I'm starting to think about that.
I mean, that's what Desrow is doing right now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, different matchup, but he's got the Disruptors on the ground.
Yeah,
he's got his
takes out all the Hydralisks with the Disruptors, and it doesn't really matter where his if he had interceptors or anything with the carriers that are now coming out. It doesn't really matter where those interceptors are. He's not going to be like murdering them because they're air units.
Oh, that's cool. I wonder if that's intentional or not.
That also makes me think about rethinking my Charge Lot Archon thing. If I'm going to be murdering my own charge lots with the Disruptors.
Well, maybe you start charge lot Archon and you're doing your thing, and then long term you sort of transition into adding in some carriers in there.
Ooh. Oh, Disruptor!
Or maybe.
Ooh. Pretty good shot off, actually.
Yeah, it's got some dead stuff. Killed some
Viper
stuff.
Pull.
Yeah, it's a little bit suicidal at that point in time when you're on creep, but it's like worth, like the tower dive. Just get in there, you get 1 kill, it's worth. Just throw down that worth in chat just to make sure to tell yourself that really risky play that totally didn't pay off was worth.
Exactly. I mean, if you say it, then that's what matters. Then it actually becomes true. The more you say it, it becomes true.
The more you say it, right? We're learning about truth here today. The more you say it, the more true it is, and if it rhymes, it's absolutely true.
Exactly.
Very important things for all of you to take away today.
Well, Desrow finally making, I think, he's made 14 Zealots this game. That's actually more than I thought he had made. That's 14 plus 6 sentries. It's like 20 gateway units that's been made this game at the 28-minute mark. He's almost made 1 gateway unit a minute.
Wait, we've got a mothership and it took damage? Did he just keep his mothership core and then the mothership core keeps
When did it take damage?
When the hell? Well, it's cloaking everything and that's nice, but it's not gonna last very long.
Disruptor's a great answer to Queens, actually. Like,
That'll
Transfuse
work.
from Queens doesn't really work as well.
Yeah, because it's burst damage.
spell.
Actually, a lot of those things are burst damage. It's
Yeah.
gonna be like, actually, these disruptors are just chilling down here, and the corruptors and Tempest are duking out, and the disruptors are like, well, we can't do anything.
Well, GG gets called, and it looks like Risky gonna be taking the game, and that actually really does.